Can Manchester United make it a three-horse race for the title? Michael Carrick hasn't ruled that out despite being 13 points behind Arsenal, albeit with a game in hand. Here's what he's had to say ahead of their trip to Newcastle United tonight.
Just threw that one in as well, haven't you now? No, listen, you can't rule anything out in football, right? But we know we got to be realistic and know where it's at. I think we just got to try and keep winning games and see where there's above us now. There's two fantastic teams. There's some really good teams in and around us. So we've had a good run. We're certainly not getting carried away. And, we got to be patient. We got to be living in the moment a little bit. Certainly take the confidence. Wherever that's going to take us, we'll just have to see. But you definitely glasses, half full in what you can achieve more than the negative side. That's for sure. But yeah, of course, I'm being realistic about it. We have to win. We have to win a lot of football matches for that to happen. So we'll do what we've been doing really and go one at a time. And we've got one now, and then we've got a little bit of a break before Villa. So we'll go give us everything for Wednesday night.
So on Manchester United winning the title, Jamie O'Hara gave Manchester United a 1 out of 10, so 10% chance. Yeah, Opta have given them a 0.01% chance of winning the title. Carrick didn't rule it out, though.
Yeah, well, of course he's not going to rule it out, is he? He's a Man United manager. You never rule out winning the title. That's the ambition of that football club, and he's done a great job. When I heard the comments, I thought, is he talking about next season? Next season, I wouldn't rule it out. I really wouldn't. I think they can be really strong. I think if he gets the job, they sign some good players, then yeah. You
have said that you can envisage him winning the title for Manchester United in the future, haven't you?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I definitely can.
On this show.
I think he's a very good manager. I said it early doors. He's got a great backroom staff. He knows the club. He's done a really good job. But they're playing one game a week and they're doing well right now. Next season's different. They're going to be in 4 competitions. They'll finish third. Man United will finish third. But for them to, for them to talk about winning the title, not only have they got to win every single game, well, Arsenal and Man City have got to fall apart. That's not going to happen. They're not going to. Arsenal are not going to lose 3 games. I just don't see that happening. They're not going to lose 3 games. Man City are not going to go and lose 3 games. That they can get closer to them by keep winning. But I've seen Arsenal's running. Apart from the Man City game, it's actually quite. You'd expect them to win most of them. I know they've got a tough game against Brighton coming up. I think there's that tonight. They've got Brighton tonight. Tough game.
Yes, tonight, yeah.
But after that, the Man City game, I don't see Arsenal really dropping many points. So I just think it's between Man City and Arsenal. No one else is in this title race. Man United have done a great job and they'll finish third. And I think Carrick will get the job.
OK, well, let's speak to Manchester United fan Bradley Tooth now. Bradley, do you think you can win the title?
Well, I'd be lying if I said yes. I think Carrick's answer was the absolute perfect answer for the club and the players. Ultimately we're building for next season. But when you were talking before about how to get the Tottenham players working when they're a bit weak mentality, we're in a situation now where we've had a poor mentality last season. We're in a good space. He's got the players believing. You're right, we've only got a game every single week and everyone else has got to drop points. But why not say, well, I can't rule it out because technically if we win all the games, but actually I'm realistic. So I'm not going to rule it out. We want to try and instill the belief, keep going. And then the players there are looking, well, if we have a full season of this next season, just like Jamie says, we could win the league. So it's telling all the players there, the likes of Bruno Fernandes, who might be looking at going somewhere else if things aren't great. It's telling them, stick with it, because next year we'll be in the mix.
How shocked would you be if you don't make the Champions League this season?
I'd be really shocked. I think we're in the box seat for it at the moment. I think what I'm loving is the adaptation during the games of how the team's playing. We were told that the team has to play a set way. Well, actually, we're dropping off. We're pushing high. We're adapting mid-game, the tactics, Sesko in, Sesko out, Ahmad in, Sesko out, all that stuff. It's really, really positive. And, we haven't had to search far and wide for the answer that's there. We've given someone who knows the club the job, and he's doing a great job. And he's an Englishman. So it's positives.
Do you think, I'm looking at next season with Manchester United. I think Carrick will probably end up getting a job because I don't see the form dropping. I don't see the form dropping off. So it'd be crazy to not give him the job with the players, you know, on his side and playing well. Next season, you know, you're in 4 competitions. That is where we're going to see Michael Carrick then, you know, rotating the squad. Have you got the players? Do you need to sign? You know, who do you need to bring? Who can you keep? Because at the moment you're playing 1 game a week and it's great, and that's lovely for Man United and the players because it's the same 11. But when they start changing it and you've got to rotate, that's when it becomes difficult.
Exactly, but that's where you've got to look at the accountability to the ownership and the structure above him. Carrick's been brought in to bring the best out of those players. Now, the players are brought in by the leadership structure. If Carrick's part of that leadership structure and he brings players in, the leadership structure have to be held accountable if they do well, if they don't. You know, Carrick's got to get the results on the pitch, but you're absolutely right. We've got to bring the right characters in. And there's a big job to be done in the summer. We know Casemiro's been great for us this season. He's on his way out. We need to replace. You know, we're now playing a formation that we were told we couldn't play, and we got rid of a lot of wingers. So we need to find a bit more width. So with 4 competitions, if we're flying high, we'll need backup in those situations or people who are going to push. So losing out on Semenyo in the January transfer window might come back to bite us, because there's not a plethora of wingers out there that can take that elevation. So we do need to invest. It's a big summer.
OK, yeah, and a big night away at Newcastle United tonight. Bradley, thank you.